welcome back. So you've joined us again, and this is the lovely Anne. And so today we're just going to follow up because really I wanted to find out how you turn your life around and how she turned her life around. Like I said earlier, in life it's very easy to become bitter. It's easier than to become better, and those are the only two ways really that life can make you. As we all know, life can really change the very person that you were created to be, through the struggles, through the hardship, in due time, and as you grow up those things turn like toxic. And if you don't really begin to take them out and deal with them one by one, then you can really go like a different direction that you imagine to. So today, I mean, we've been following Anne from the age of 5, and you know, you've gone through a lot,
Yes,
as we all know. Really, my question is, and the question that really a lot of people wanted to know and follow up is, you know, where you are now, first of all, how you've done it, because you've obviously come out, those things that she was dealing with, or you're not anymore.
No.
So take us back a little bit, and how did you come out, and when did it all stop?
Well, like I said previously, that I started battling with the mental scars, as you know, Amy would call it. But eventually in 2006 I encountered God. I became a born again Christian. So then my journey to freedom began from that day. And so God took me through a process of overcoming pornography, overcoming the desires for like masturbation and stuff like that. And then because I was married by the time I got born again, I wasn't dealing with like the promiscuity anymore and stuff like that. But but I was, you know, like Amy said, that in life you can either become better or become bitter. Now, I went through that process of bitterness, but I didn't know that I was carrying that on the inside. And it got to a point where like my heart was like really aching and stuff like that, and you'd find out more in the book. But and then God just started changing my way of thinking, and because in the Bible it talks about like things like homosexuality, it talks about like immorality, a life of just like sexual immorality and stuff like that. So those are the things that God started dealing with me. I started bringing it to God and saying, God, this is what I'm going through, you know, I like sex, I like pornography, I like this is what I'm dealing with, but help me to become free. And then
sorry to cut you, because you're saying God help me to become free. So is it that you knew God at that time, and you had already become born again, so you were saying, okay, God, this is the things that I'm dealing with, help me to become free? Or was it prior to you getting that salvation?
It was after the salvation, because even like prior to the salvation I was suicidal, and you know, I'd come to the end of myself literally. And how I encountered God was literally, I was going through everything that I was going through, the mental battles, the suicidal tendencies and stuff like that. I'd come to like the end of it. And then the day I encountered God was the day that, you know, I was supposed to commit suicide.
Wow,
and
really?
And I was at uni, so it's not a church background or anything like that. I was literally in my room by myself. And because I couldn't commit suicide, because everything that I'd attempted to do, I was afraid of. So I was just like, the last cry out basically was like, God, if you're real, I want to know you. And then straight away I got a phone call, was invited to a meeting that was going on campus, in my friend's house. And literally that's when I received God and encountered the power of God. So then a few years after that, that's when I started, like when I read the Bible and stuff, I found out that you know, God is against homosexuality, not against the person but against the acts. So I was just like, okay, God, you know, I don't want to die and go to hell because of these things, but I want to be free from it. So like I really want to be free, and it took a long time, because even when I was writing the book that's coming out, I was just like trying to write it, you know, trying to skip your freedom and write from an aspect of, okay, this is what God doesn't like, but within yourself you're not free. But the more like I was being nagged on my heart, I was just like, I was listening to a testimony of a young man, and so I was like, God, if you can set him free from the issues that he was dealing with, then you can set me free from it, you know. And instantly that's when I got like set free from it. So
well, powerful testimony. A couple of questions that I have, because you know not everybody knows God, and not everybody is born again, and a lot of people that are homosexual, they do feel like that's just who they are. And you know, your journey really began when you encountered God, when you said, okay God, here I am and this is what I'm dealing with. But what I want to know as well is, you last time in the last video we saw how Anne came from the victim to the villain. Now, because when we was talking at that time, it was almost like, you know, you aware of who you were, you became the villain because you wanted to do that to other people. So how did you just change from that? You know, was it a mentality thing? Was it you just did it because you know you just couldn't help yourself? Or how do you come from a villain to now being a born again good person, everything's taken away?
Basically when I came to this country, I realized that you couldn't, like, homosexuals were not accepted, and so it's like you had to, so basically I put on this pretense that I'm not actually I'm actually not homosexual, or I don't have that desire, even though within myself I was battling those desires. So it was now a case of pornography trying to fill that void, that desire, and but not act it out to other women, because the only way you become villain sometimes is when you find people who are in the same mindset, or they don't know any better. So but because obviously,
so would you act in a manipulative way? So you became very manipulative? Is that what you would say? To obviously lure them in?
Or like you find them, if they already have the same mindset as you don't have to do anything. You're both in the same mindset. So that's what it was. A lot of it was from. But when I came to this country, obviously realizing that all of a sudden you can't be in the public, your life can't be like that. So I just used pornography was like the channel to try and satisfy that desire, but without carrying out the acts. So physically the acts on other people. So
because a lot of people that don't know God, when they overcome something in their mind, they just did it. You know, they got themselves up, they put everything in the past, they just had to get on with life, and they just had to do it. What is your thoughts on that?
I don't think that they actually, because obviously you can try to say I've put everything on the past and I've overcome this, I've become a better person, and you know, through whether it's counseling or through your own, you know, your own strength, but those things are actually still on the inside of you. Because like even when after encountering God, I just thought, you know, like, well, my life is better, everything is okay, you know, I have this path that I'm following, not knowing a few years down the line I would actually my heart would actually be exposed to finally realize that those things were actually hurts on the inside. So even though on the outside you can put on this strong person, I'm smiling, I'm laughing, but on the inside, if you don't deal with those emotional things that, you know, like abuse and everything else that you've gone through in life puts on the inside of you, then it's like eventually it comes out in other things. It comes out either you talking to people or you dealing with yourself, like how you treat yourself, even within yourself, in your own, when nobody's there, how are you, because it's like,
and it can really affect how you view yourself as
Yeah.
well, because it's very easy to like hide it when you are with people, when you're around people. You can come across as really fun, happy, bubbly person, but as soon as you get in your room behind closed doors, you kind of shrivel up and you just get lost in this dark world.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people get trapped, and that depression comes in because the thoughts, the memories, everything just come pouncing in at once, and you kind of start losing your mind. And so you mentioned as well that you was married. Now in my mind, obviously, I don't know what you were. Was you homosexual? Was you lesbian? Or was you just bisexual?
Bisexual, that's what
You
I
was bisexual. So what was your motive to get married? What drew you to get married? Was that before you put everything behind, or at what stage, and what was the motive for you to get married? Because obviously you're not married to the person now.
No. What drew me to like actually get married is because I actually wanted a relationship.
Okay.
So even though it's like I put that side behind, but not necessarily dealt with it to the point of like, okay, I'm not a homosexual anymore, because to everybody I wasn't. And even within myself, I was like, I don't want that lifestyle anymore. So I was like, taking it through like pornography was just to satisfy that mental torment. So when it came to like getting married, it wasn't a case of, okay, I just wanted a normal relationship. I just wanted to be heterosexual. It's not that I wanted to necessarily please anybody, but it was a decision that, okay, I want this life rather than, the homosexual or the bisexual lifestyle.
So was it something that you genuinely wanted, or was it something that you did to cover up really what you was feeling inside?
No.
So what caused the divorce? How did it end?
It ended at the point where like basically I was going through the mental hospital situation. I was basically admitted in the mental hospital, and then the person couldn't take that aspect anymore. So I was just like, okay, he came to me and it was like, oh, I want to get a divorce. So I was like, okay, fair enough, if you want to get a divorce because you can't deal with this aspects of my life, because it's not easy. So I was just like, okay, feel free, you can get your divorce, but you have to work on.
Would you say that you was in love with the person?
Yeah.
So how easy was it for you to say, okay, feel free?
It was hard. It was,
because the reason why I asked that is because when she's saying it, she's like, feel free, if you want to go. And sometimes obviously now when years go past, you can kind of laugh about it and smile about it, and some people, they smile and laugh at things just because they're nervous, or because it's kind of like a cover up. Because I used to do that a lot. I laugh at everything that is not even funny, and it's like, why are you laughing? It's not funny. So that's why I was asking, how easy was it to say that?
It wasn't easy, because obviously at that time that was like 2009, so I was already a Christian. So I was like in a place where, okay, you either accept me because when I met him, I was not saved. I was not, I wasn't in God then. But all of a sudden I'm in God, and then I'm going through issues and stuff like that. And so I was just like, okay, you either accept me in God, and when I'm in God, obviously things are not going to be as rosy and as nice as people think it is, because you still face challenges. So I was like, you either accept me in God or you go, because there's no in between for me. This is the life that God has called me to. So it's either you choose and you come fully with me, and knowing fully well that it's not always going to be like the mental hospital. It's not always going to be like different harsh challenges, but there's going to be things that that you're going to see me go through and stuff like that. So that's.
And what brought you to the mental hospital?
It's funny because I laugh, not because it's funny, but it's just because I didn't understand it myself. Because one day I was just like traveling, and then all of a sudden I was going through deliverance. I was like seeing myself going through like being set free and stuff like that. So it got to a point where like my behavior was being bizarre and people were praying for me and stuff like that. So, and nothing was changing in my behavior. So to me, when I was in that state, I was normal, because what I was portraying and what I was seeing was two different things. So, and then I ended up in the mental.
So what kind of behaviours was you doing? What kind of things?
Apparently I was like dancing, shouting, being loud and stuff like that. So the first time...
Was that from people that you knew that was telling you that you was doing these things, or...?
Yeah, that was the first time. But then the second time, it was a case of where now I was like with my family, but it was because at that time it wasn't like, the second time around, it wasn't like, to them it was bizarre behavior, but to me it was like, okay, I'm okay, you're the one who seems to be put in the mental hospital.
Who put you in the mental hospital?
My mum and my step mom and my dad.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I got there, they were just like, for them it was like a study, because it's like, okay, you've been put in this place, but then we can't find anything wrong with you, you know. And then I was just like, you know what, you won't find anything wrong with me because there's nothing actually wrong with me, you know. So they just became interested, and then I have like people like doing a study on me. Even up to now, they're still following me and trying to do a study, trying to figure out what it is, what happened, and stuff like that. So
okay, so your parents, what they called them, and then they brought you in, and
yeah, they just put me in the car and they just...
Did you know where you was going?
I knew where I was going, but I wasn't expecting what obviously happened, because obviously I knew where they were taking me and stuff, because I always passed that place, so Lucian Hospital. So yeah, I knew where I was going.
That's very interesting. So we're going to move on from that because we have so much to get into. If you do have any questions that you want Anne to answer, or you've got any thoughts in your mind, then please do email, message, anything. That I'm going to put the link down below. We've got so much to get through. Yeah. So you've gone through mental hospital, gone through all of this, divorce, marriage, all of that. Wahala. And now you're here.
Yeah.
This is the new transformed Anne.
Yes.
How different are you from what you used to be to how you are today?
I can honestly say I'm like more free within myself, more confident, because it's like I don't have to be someone else. I don't have to try and pretend to be someone else or something else. So it's like a lot more like weight lifted off you. It's like you see yourself in a different light, because it's almost like you're a new person. You know, it's like, okay, I acknowledge the things that I've been through.
Absolutely,
and stuff like that, but it no longer defines you, or it no longer determines what you can and what you can't do, or what you can strive for and what you can't strive for. So yeah.
And you have achieved a lot. Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, to an extent. It's like, it's still mind blowing, because like sometimes I still like think like, oh my gosh, like how did I even get here? Because it's like overwhelming. It's not something that you could have done by yourself. So yeah. Don't mind me, some tissues.
I feel very emotional because coming to the end of your story, and we've had to kind of pick some parts there and pick some parts, you know, here and there, but really we can start to see the overall, and it's such a it's one of those things that no one can take away from you. You know, you've gone through it, you know exactly the gritty parts of it, you know the messy parts of it, you know what you had to come through, and I'm proud of you. And I'm sure a lot of people will be touched by your story. And tell us about the book. Why did you write the book?
why did I write the book? Prompted me to write the book was basically that I wanted to. It started off as my story, but as I continued to write the book, I just found that God was laying stuff on my heart to put in, and you know, so that other people would have a way out of the same things or similar things that I've gone through. And basically half of the book is as a story, and then the rest of it is literally equipping people.
Wow, powerful stuff. So one more question from me. As a lot of young women I know go through so many things, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it's rape, whether something to do with violation, you know, and growing up you can feel so worthless, you can feel, you know, you devalued, you can feel so many things. How do you regain back your innocence, or how do you regain back your purity as a woman, to gain back your body, to gain back your soul, to say I am whole again?
For me, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you, because even like it affected my marital relationship, because it got to a point where like you can't even undress yourself. Try not to be too explicit, but it's like you have that lack of like confidence even with your body and stuff like that. So it's like I was afraid of even men, like the whole marriage stuff. So it just took a journey where like, okay, like, you know, accepting that this is what I've gone through, and then when people find out that you've gone through issues like that, they kind of like abuse you as well in the process. So it was a case of now, like even the relationship that I'm in, it's like God had to set boundaries and say, you know what, you can't do that, and you can't do this, you can't do that. So even like my partner that I'm with now, he had to accept that, you know what, I can't do that, because even if I go there, it's gonna have to be in marriage, and like accept that. So it's God had to renew my mind to literally know that I am his wife, and so like how he would treat a woman is how I should be treated, and how I should value myself. So yeah, it took that.
There's some very interesting statements that I heard you say. One of them was, when people know oftentimes that you have been abused, they can take advantage of that. And that's something that a thought that I've had as well. You know, I think sometimes it's a power thing. Sometimes when someone knows that you've come from an abusive past, they can see it, they can smell it, you're not confident, you don't feel valued, you've lost yourself, and so to come and overpower you, whether it's through a manipulative way, it happens. And we as women can be victims for the rest of our lives unless we come to find our own identity. It
was a case of like, because I used to be in that situation like you just said, because I used to, because of that I felt like I was less than who I am, or who I am supposed to be. So it's like, you know, I'll just tiptoe around people, and even relationships I felt like I didn't have a voice. Sometimes like as Christians, Christian women, we think like, okay, sweep it under the carpet, and I'll still continue to go and have this pretty looking face and just smile in public and pretend like everything is okay, when on the inside of you and like at home, you know, you're being a victim all over again. So it was a case,
because it happens. It happens in Christian homes, Christian relationships. And I think a lot of people assume that you're immune to these things when it's just wrong thinking.
It's a very much a wrong thinking, because it's like God had to address that and say, you know what, no, you have to deal with it. Because I used to just go and pray, and I just like, okay, I'm just going to pray, and then God was like, no, I've given you an authority to say no to the person and to say no to people, you know. And at first when you start doing it, because when they've noticed you being all for this long period of time a victim, so to speak, and when all of a sudden you're now saying no, it's like a shock to their system, because it's like,
she has a voice.
Yeah, like, who is this? Like, no. And then they'll try and do it again, and then, like, no. Like, who is this? Like, this is a new person. And it's like, no, this has always been on the inside of me, but I just kept it back.
What has God given you on the inside that has made you the woman that you are today?
Confidence. Confidence, because like when you know who you are, and when you know what you can do or what God can do in you, it's like, sorry. Okay. Basically, I don't have to apologize. It's like when you know that, you know, you're being set free and stuff like that. So it's like you don't have to make an apology for who you are, and that's what God has put on the inside of me, the confidence to say no. That's one of the powerful things that God has given me, to be able to say yes to certain things and stick to it, and then say no to certain things and stick to it, and then knowing that when I say no, He backs up. So it's not that,
Wow. Having the confidence to say no, that's a powerful message of its own, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, because sometimes it can be hard to say no, even when you want to say no. But sometimes I think people's emotions and influence can be so strong on you that you either don't want to disappoint, or you don't want to face things, so you say even when you want to say no. So powerful stuff. So I think we've come to the end of everything. So your book launch is out. Give us the details. If you just let everyone know the details, where to be at, where to buy a ticket or no ticket?
No ticket.
So where to be at with a time and what to expect.
Well, it's going to be on Wellington Street in Northampton. So if you're not in Northampton, you're going to have to take a train or drive or however you're going to get there. And then it's going to be Salem Mission House. So it's opposite literally Marks and Spencer's, those who know Northampton. And it's going to start from 2 till 6. So 4 hours. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be dance. I'm even going to be surprised because they're not showing me what they're going to do. So there's going to be talking, people sharing their testimonies. We're going to hear more about like men and women who have gone through, because I literally wanted people to know, like, it's not just me. The day is not about me. It's literally what God can do. So it's going to be poetry, testimonials through poetry, dance. There's going to be music, OVM, if you know them, and they're going to be there. So so it's going to be very power packed and not to be missed. No. And what can you expect? I put that expectation on you. So whatever you come expecting, that's what God will deliver. Powerful. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you've all been blessed today. It has been such an emotional roller coaster journey, but it has been well worth it. So if you want to hear more of Anne's story, if you have any questions, then please do email me, message me, and we will get those questions answered. There are many people with phenomenal stories like Anne's. She's one in a million. So do get in touch if you do want to share your story. And for now we say bye. Thank you. Bye.